Hello there, people of YouTube and beyond. I'm Marcus Chenoweth of Rogue Renegade Productions, and welcome back to Gen Z Reviews. If this is your first time viewing, this is the series where I take a look at and defend movies that were panned or forgotten about at the time that they came out, but are beloved by those that are in my generation, Generation Z. In the last episode, I took a look at the live-action adaptation of Scooby-Doo from 2002, a movie I found to be fun with some good character stuff, good adult humor, and an overall decent head on its shoulders in terms of what it set out to do. I knew I immediately had to follow up with the 2004 sequel, Scooby-Doo 2: Monsters Unleashed. Perhaps surprisingly or unsurprisingly, this one came out to even worse reviews. Just look at the score difference on Rotten Tomatoes. Critics called it a rehash, tired, a bore, and just a dumb kids movie. But much like the first movie, I, along with many others, cherish this movie as an entertaining flick with plenty in it to utterly love. With no further time to waste, I present to you Scooby-Doo 2: Monsters Unleashed. The movie opens with a shot of the night sky with a full moon. The title appears along with the pterodactyl ghost as the credits come flying in as well. All this accompanied by a genuinely awesome score. Just listen to this. This score by David Newman is great, and there's some really good stuff from him all throughout the movie to balance the other music that's in here as well. The gang rolls up in a Mystery Machine limo to attend the opening of an exhibition at the Coulsonian Criminology Museum dedicated to their past work. This part of the movie is so well done as it not only sets up characters like reporter Heather Jasper Howe, but also various stuff to come later in the movie. The many homages to the original cartoon here is just fantastic and something that was sorely missing from the first movie. We not only get the original cartoon here,
like the Black Knight Ghost,
Our very first case.
but also a pup named Scooby-Doo.
we've also donated the costumes of some of our more ridiculous foes, like Chickenstein.
Although it's strange Fred calls the Black Knight Ghost their first case, while true of the original show, Chickenstein is from a pup named Scooby-Doo, the prequel show to the original cartoon, but whatever, still a cool reference. We're then introduced to the character of Patrick, played by Chris Griffin and Oz from Buffy himself, Seth Green. He talks to Velma, and the immediate chemistry and nervousness that comes from these two is just a delight.
There's a symposium coming up on the syntactic reasoning in the criminal brain.
I have always found a criminal's inclination to incorrectly use the interrogative pronoun in place of the relative delightfully absurd.
So maybe you'd want to go together.
Oh, I can't. Patrick, mystery is my mistress. I must heed her sweet call.
Things begin to go haywire shortly after as the pterodactyl ghost starts wrecking things in the museum. The gang is unable to hold the beast, mostly due to Shaggy and Scooby, and the pterodactyl ghost pulls them around the place. The stunt work here is actually pretty cool, and I recommend looking at the behind-the-scenes stuff to see how they did this, along with the other stunts in the film. I also want to note the CGI on the monsters. There's some definite improvement compared to the ones from the first movie. You can tell it's a bit hokey in some areas, but looks rather good most of the time. A masked figure then shows up and spews some villain stuff and then is gone with some of the costumes from the museum, just like that. I find it funny that he's referred to throughout the movie as the evil masked figure. We then cut to the gang at their crib, which I just love the set design for. God, I wanted to live there as a kid. Shaggy and Scooby are blamed for the pterodactyl ghost getting away, which makes the duo feel really awful, perfectly setting up some really good character stuff that continues throughout the movie for these two.
Norval Shaggy Rogers and Scoobert Scooby-Doo are seen here causing untold damage to Coolsville's hottest new tourist attraction, which took a full 2 years to complete. When asked for comment, Fred Jones, leader of Mystery Incorporated, had this to say.
Little old Coolsville can solve its problems without us.
I didn't say that.
They then decide to make some changes.
You know, Scoob, we could act like real detectives. We do. Raise your right paw. Repeat after me. From this day forward, we will no longer be our goofy selves.
The fuck dude is calling me?
The gang then takes some time doing some deducing. They rule out Jonathan Jacobo, who is the original pterodactyl ghost, as he's dead, but not before we see a flashback of him creating flubber and escaping prison. And where the was he locked up? Azkaban? They then come to the conclusion that Jeremiah Wickles, who was the Black Knight Ghost, is a suspect due to that being one of the costumes stolen. The gang then drives and pulls up to his 7th guest home.
Oh, man. Another creepy crib. How come we can't ever investigate like a Burger King or something?
Hold up, that isn't right. Shaggy definitely says KFC. From what I understand, there's a difference between the DVD US version and the international release version that's used on streaming services for the product placement.
How come we can't ever investigate like a Burger King or something? How come we can't ever investigate like a KFC or something?
Fred then rings the doorbell and the gang falls down into an elaborate holding cell of sorts. If Wickles could afford these holding balls from Mortal Kombat Annihilation, why turn to crime? The gang gets out and begins investigating the manor. Fred, Velma, and Daphne coming across a book that describes using randomonium to create monsters, while Shaggy and Scooby find a note that tells them Wickles will be at a place called the Faux Ghost. However, the newly reborn Black Knight Ghost appears. Another cool thing that Scooby-Doo 2 has to its credit is that it retains far more of its cartoony nature, and this stuff with the Black Knight Ghost is a great example of that. While it lost more of its cynical edge that the first film had, Scooby-Doo 2 tries to be a better kids movie, which to me works perfectly fine. Rather have a movie that does one thing right than trying two things and only succeeding at one of them, sort of. Daphne battles the Black Knight Ghost in what's a decently done choreographed fight scene, but Velma figures out the ghost's weakness.
Which makes his weakest point right here!
Right in the round tables.
How or why does the suit of armor have balls? The gang heads back to their crib. Shaggy and Scooby head out to the Faux Ghost while the rest of Mystery Inc. investigates further into randomonium and remembers that there's a mine where the stuff can be found. But Patrick shows up, causing Velma to kind of freak out.
It's okay to be scared. I am not scared. I've fought werewolves and ghosts, but in the end I know we usually unmask them and it's just a shrivelly little scared man inside. Well, it's the same with dating. Have you ever considered that maybe werewolves and ghosts are just distractions to keep you away from what really frightens you? Intimacy with another person. I really like this guy. What would you do if someone thought that you were some glamorous and mysterious jet setter? I'd make myself one.
I absolutely love this scene, not only because we see Velma being taken aback from her usual smart self, but we see Daphne being legitimately helpful and caring. Shows some real growth for the both of them. Then we see...
Who's your mommy?
Ooh. I think this awakened a lot of things for a lot of people. We then cut to Shaggy and Scooby at the Faux Ghost, where all their unmasked foes of the past hang out. Shaggy and Scooby disguise themselves and try to get something out of Old Man Wickles. They get nothing, Scoob fails to blend in with the moves he learned from Dance Central on the Connect, and the two get out of the place. We then cut back to Fred, Daphne, Velma, and Patrick, who roll up to the museum to find more of the costumes gone. It's here we see just how perfectly manipulative Heather Jasper Howe is, and just how good Alicia Silverstone is at selling it.
What's with the personal attacks?
I'm a huge fan. It's just my editor.
Who are you kidding?
Who are you kidding? What do you do for the gang? Really? Velma's the smart one. Fred's the leader. All you are is a pretty little face.
It works really well, and we even get to see Daphne kind of doubt herself after we see her growth in the previous movie and see her be more helpful and caring here. We again cut back to Shag and Not So Silent Scoob as they come across Patrick getting kind of physical with a guy and yelling at him.
Patrick. Shaggy. Scooby. What are you guys doing here?
We just came down here to be undercover and stuff.
Me too.
We could stay here and do this all night, but we gotta make like your personality and split.
I actually really like this addition of Patrick. He could have just been a throwaway character, but this clearly shows he's not taking any more bull and is trying to take things into his own hands. Shaggy and Scooby depart from Patrick and follow Old Man Wickles into the abandoned mining place. They come across the skeleton men and discover a way down further into the mine. Fred, Velma, and Daphne go to the mine as well and find that Wickles is not the one behind everything. Meanwhile, Shaggy discovers some Daedric runes while Scooby eats some goo in a fridge that turns him into an eldritch horror whose name is unutterable to mortal tongues. Some other transformations later, and Shaggy assumes his ultimate form while Scoob becomes wildly intelligent, a fun play on the brains brawn thing. Fred, Daphne, and Velma come across the duo. They get fixed up, and with the gang all together again, they venture further into the mine. Shaggy and Scooby then mess around with what looks like the Transmooker device from Spy Kids 2, and accidentally bring to life some of the other monsters. The gang hightails it out of there, and on the way out, Shaggy and Scooby, while being chased by the skeleton men, bust out this time some 1080 snowboarding moves. We then see the monsters overtake the city and start all kinds of chaos. Also, someone please explain to me the pirate ship. I can get behind the monsters being brought back with that device, but where did the ship come from? Heather Jasper Howe begs Mystery Inc. to turn themselves in as the Black Knight Ghost storms in. Instead of doing so, the gang decides to lay low, heading back to their old clubhouse from when they were younger. It's here we get some of the best character stuff from Shaggy and Scooby, bar none. The time they take to reflect here is so well done. The flashback we see when Fred, Daphne, and Velma are in the treehouse is good as well, but Shaggy and Scooby steal that deep moment by a country mile.
I'll tell you one thing for sure, Scoob. They don't need our help to figure it out.
We're grown-ups.
Yeah, face it, Scoob. We'll never be anything but our old goofy selves. I wish once, just once, I could do the right thing on purpose.
Captain Cutler's ghost then appears and the gang retreats from their clubhouse. They send Cutler flying literally out of the movie. This is the last time we see him. Then they get chased down by the pterodactyl ghost and the zombie doing his best Terminator 2 recreation. I also want to note the stunt work here, very nicely done as well. They arrive back at the mine with the newly reworked device that can destroy the monsters when plugged in, but they're stopped by the Black Knight Ghost after having freshly stolen one of the Nazgul's horses. Fred says he'll hold him off while Daphne takes on the 10,000 volt ghost. Fred and Daphne are unable to take them down, and as they're thrown together, they share a rather tender moment.
Guess this is it, huh?
I'm afraid. I want to limp, huh?
That doesn't make you a wimp. Makes you human.
Velma gives the device to Shaggy and Scooby, telling them they need to be the ones to destroy the monsters. She even reassures them that they've been heroes all along but just never knew it. As they get out of there, they're chased by the ghost of Robert Baratheon, while Fred and Daphne ultimately take down the two ghosts.
Here we go! Everybody's gonna get down! Let's go!
Lights out!
Wow, that was an expensive-looking explosion. I can't believe we had that in the budget.
As all of this occurs, Velma discovers a shrine to Jonathan Jacobo and chances across Patrick, who is nothing but suspect to her. He saves her from a nasty fall, but is taken away by the pterodactyl ghost. The gang then finally confronts the evil masked figure, but everyone except Scooby gets trapped by the tar monster. Scooby then gathers up his courage, grabs a fire extinguisher, and busts out even more skateboarding No, I'm not doing another Tony Hawk joke. Scooby frees everyone and puts the device back and destroys all the monsters. The gang then finally gets the evil masked figure and a whole crowd celebrates this great feat. The evil masked figure is then unmasked and revealed to be Heather Jasper Howe, and she had her cameraman Ned as an assistant to her. That's not all, there's a twist!
Real f***ing original.
Heather Jasper Howe was actually Jonathan Jacobo all along, having survived his failed prison escape. Him and Ned are arrested and the gang celebrates with a dance number which closes the movie out. And there it is, Raja Gosnell's Scooby-Doo 2 Monsters Unleashed. Even better than the first movie. Every piece of praise I had for the first movie, take those and double them, and that would be the sum up of my thoughts on this movie. The emotional scenes and character stuff is done really well, more than it has any right to be. The film sticks to one consistent tone, and it works 99% of the time. The set design isn't as unique as the first movie, but the set designers went out of their way to make sure each place was as memorable as they could make it. The stunt work was good, and the acting was pretty stellar. Newcomers Alicia Silverstone and Seth Green do the best they can, and it shows. Same with some of the smaller but still important roles, like with Peter Boyle and Tim Blake Nelson. I'm so glad I got to start out these two movies for this series. These movies know the tone they have and they embrace it, and all of its dumb and immensely entertaining charm. Be sure to tune in next time as I take a look at the 2003 live-action adaptation of The Cat in the Hat. Thank you for watching Gen Z Reviews. Comment down below suggestions for movies that you would like me to take a look at in the future, and that's it for this review. Farewell and stay well.